Welcome, one and all. It is good to be back on this channel for a change. It truly provides me a platform to talk to you about other things besides the royals. Okay, as most of you here are already interested in the true crime genre, I'm going to assume that most of you are also familiar with the Keely, Rodney, Summer Wells, Michael Vaughan, Jalissa Fuentes, Dylan Rounds cases. Just a quick overview. Kylie Rodney was a 16-year-old who disappeared after a party on the 6th of August 2022. Summer Wells is a 5-year-old who disappeared from her home on the 15th of June 2021. Michael Vaughan is also a 5-year-old who disappeared from his home about a month after summer. Jalissa disappeared after visiting a convenience store in the early morning hours of August the 7th. And Dylan Rounds is a 19-year-old who disappeared from his farm in Lucerne, Utah on May the 28th. Now, on the surface, these cases have very little in common. They occurred in different states. Kylie was 16, Summer and Michael 5, Jalissa 22, and Dylan 19. Kylie was found, and to date, the others have not been found. In the case of Michael, it appears that law enforcement is doing a fairly good job and doing all they can to solve the case. In the other cases, however, it appears as if law enforcement botched a few things and slipped up on things they should not have. In the Kylie Rodney case in particular, the mistakes were more obvious. Law enforcement started the official search on the 7th, the day after she was reported missing. After searching for her for nearly a month, she was found at Prosser Lake and Reservoir by Adventures with Purpose, a diving team who has a YouTube channel. Curiously, AWP found Kylie and her vehicle in 14 feet of water, 50 meters offshore, in the exact location where law enforcement had previously searched, and they searched with sonar and divers, and which law enforcement had cleared before the arrival of Adventures with Purpose. Even more strangely is the fact that Adventures with Purpose, instead of receiving gratitude, had since been slated and received all kinds of wild accusations, had been ignored, and had in particular been slandered by the mother of Kylie. In the Summer Wells case, assistance was offered by EcoSearch, another group of volunteers and highly trained people in search and rescue. Again, although they were allowed to search, they were pushed out of the areas they wanted to target and wanted to prioritize. And again, they were initially slandered and ignored, and assumptions were made about them. In the Dylan Rounds case, law enforcement did not do their duty, and initially the one jurisdiction tried to palm the case off onto the other, and the parents of Dylan had to arrange their own searches in the beginning and until his parents pushed hard enough to get the FBI involved. Yet at the same time, the parents turned down offers from groups similar to AWP and EcuSearch to help. In Michael Vaughan's case, law enforcement seemed to have responded quickly, and on the surface, it truly looks as if they are doing what they can. But again, numerous groups and even social media people offered additional assistance and even offered to pay for a private investigator and was turned down and slandered. I find this very strange and very concerning. I'm aware that social media can be a dangerous and even sick place to venture into. But at the end of the day, behind those cameras and microphones are mostly ordinary people with their own variety of skills. When one analyzes the influence of social media, you will find that it offers a great deal of education in all fields. from religion all the way through to science and beyond. And the same applies to the true crime genre. And I actually did a little digging just to make sure that I am bringing facts and not talking through my backside. In the case of AWP, or Adventures with Purpose, they found 24 missing people in bodies of water in 2 years before the Kylie Rodney case. That is indeed phenomenal. They also found stolen vehicles and cleared, albeit unintentional, cases of insurance fraud. Then we have the case of Gabby Petito, who was largely found because van lifers with a YouTube channel had caught her vehicle on their dash cam. Then there was the case of Grateful Doe, a body which was found in 1995 due to web sleuths, who some of you will be familiar with, who circulated a picture of a computer generated reconstruction. He was identified as 19-year-old Jason Callahan. The same was the case of Dee Moore, also solved by online social media detectives. So, also the case of Linda Hart, who went missing in 1988, whose case was solved in 2011. The list goes on and on and on. The fact is that YouTube creators, members of other platforms, are just people like anyone else out there in the public. And after crowdfunding, sometimes are able to help a little more and apply extra and often expensive resources. It is also true that social media is likely the main reason these days why certain cases remain in the news and open and not filed in a box in a dusty storeroom. The attention social media brings to these cold cases are often the reason why they are looked at again. So why would parents and families decline help and assistance from social media platforms? Yes, maybe early on in a case, evidence may be unknowingly or through ignorance be destroyed by well intentioned people. But in my opinion, once a case runs into the second or third week unsolved, I, as a parent or family member, would care less about evidence and way more about finding my child or loved one, and would want the entire world searching if possible. I often hear that it is law enforcement advising families not to engage with social media, and it is difficult to ascertain why that actually is. One of the reasons I have picked up on certainly has to do with ego. The ones more prominent or in charge wanting to be the hero, or perhaps wanting to be recognized in the ranks and among their peers. Obviously, there are some very valid reasons as well, particularly in the early stages where evidence can accidentally be destroyed. However, it has also been proven that the higher the visibility, the greater the chance of getting answers. Having said that, it is obviously not always the case, as we have seen in cases like that of Suzanne Morphew, a 49-year-old woman who also mysteriously disappeared from her home. I personally think that is indeed one instance where social media actually hurt the case, but it was not the fault of the public per se, but the actual creators and media who early on pushed a certain narrative without looking at the case objectively. But more than that, it was the fault of a weak DA who allowed herself to be pressured by the media and social media to act too hastily. So, once again, one cannot really place the blame on social media although, in my opinion, the actions of one particular creator verged on stalking and going over and beyond only reporting and awareness. The other issue pertaining to social media, and which adds to the fear of interaction by the families, is obviously their fear of having their own background delved into and exposed. And yes, we saw that happening. We saw it in the Summer Walls case where the parents' previous convictions and drug and alcohol abuse were exposed. We are seeing it now in the Kylie Rodney case where the mother is being blamed for allowing her daughter to drive illegally, for allowing her daughter to go to a party where all the other attendees were at least 2 or more years older, and where she thus likely knew there would be drugs and alcohol. But it is also a fact that this would have happened anyway without the help of social media. Secondly, it is indeed necessary to sometimes be able to hold a mirror up in front of your own face and take some responsibility or some of the blame. Had not been true, the families would have had a good case for slander and defamation. But unfortunately, it is true. And unfortunate as it may be, if by making it public teaches another family a lesson and one life is spared or saved because of it, then it was still worth it. In short, it is my opinion that although social media can generate some disgusting and hurtful scenarios, the good still outweighs the bad if used correctly and with good intentions. Okay, guys and girls, I am busy with some major research into some strange cases and occurrences, and I will be back here as soon as I can. So until we meet again on the next one, please take good care of yourself. Bye.